Hello, hello. Welcome to our next wellness series. Today we are talking about how the body heals. My name is Lisa. I thank you all for joining us live and being on time here. There's a lot of people that were on this call. We always thank you and appreciate you being on here, and we are recording it just in case that you would like to share this with some people as we go through this topic and you think of. Absolutely, you can get this from whoever invited you and they'll be happy to give it to you and you can share it. So on these calls, I always like to start off with this little reminder that we are not doctors on this call and we don't treat or diagnose any diseases. What we do is we share valuable tools to empower you to make excellent choices for your health, and we give you ways to balance your body so it can do what it was designed to do. As I said, my name is Lisa. I'm going to give you a little short background of how I came into this world, and it leads right into our speaker. So I was very, very sick several years ago now. Was debilitated with pain. I was exhausted all the time in bed, much of the day, sleeping, had all kinds of digestive problems going on. I went from doctor to doctor and ended up being diagnosed with a couple of autoimmune diseases. And it really radically changed my life at that point in time. I went from a vibrant person to someone who was in bed. And in this journey of going to so many different specialists, trying so many different protocols, my friend Denise, who is on the call today, she had been an herbalist in her store for many, many years, now over 27 years. But then she reached out to me because she had received some new products in her store and she really wanted me to try them. And so I did. I went on them for about 3 months into doing a program, and I started to feel a lot better. My blood work began to change, and I have just moved onward and upward since then. I am so much better and don't suffer from any of those symptoms I once had. And so I'm so thankful and grateful that Denise was willing to reach out to me and share the new products that she had in her shop. She only works with very high quality products, so I trusted her. Denise is a very generous and giving person. I knew her to be full of integrity and honest, so I was willing to trust her. And I wanted to be able to help people as well because I saw such a radical difference in my life. So she began to mentor me and help me learn how to help other people, just like you're going to hear from her today. So I just love her to death, and I'm super excited for you to hear from her. And I'm going to bring her on in, let's see here. And on.
Maybe if I talk, you'll see me.
Yeah, you should be in speaker view. Do you guys all see Denise?
I talk, can you see me?
Yeah, I see you.
Okay, I think that triggers it, like when I talk.
Okay, I want to try and split the screen,
but then again, it's tech, so who knows?
Yeah, give me one.
I prefer herbs over tech.
give me 1 minute. Shatinka, do you remember how we did that? Now it's like been too long. Let me see.
Yeah, it was like on her tile or something. There's speaker view or I can't remember what it's called, but it's on her tile.
Spotlight for everyone, is that it?
Yeah, spotlight, is that?
Oh, that's right, being in the spotlight.
Well, all right. Well, sorry. I forgot this one aspect of what I was doing. I've been out of the loop for a month.
Can you make her co-host? Is that going to make a
I
difference?
did
Okay.
make her co-host.
Oh,
All right.
it changed.
Yeah.
Now all I see is me.
All right. That's all right. I was trying to split it,
It's okay.
but add the spotlight. All right, I got it. Woo!
Yay!
My brain is
Yay,
kicking in.
Lisa.
Thank you. I apologize for that, but we got it going on now. Okay, thanks for
pretty
bearing
cool.
with me on that. So Denise, I would just like to lay a foundation of how people can understand, how the body heals. I think that most people have an idea, they have some ideas of what that is, but I think it's important to help them and help us that we would talk about the difference between the medical community that we've all been raised in, we all grow in, we're very familiar with going to the doctor, versus maybe something that's brand new to people, a holistic kind of mindset, a holistic practice, the one that I eventually went down that you led me through. What would you say are some key important things that we should know about those two different things?
Yeah, they are actually very different. And I think really where it starts, the difference starts is in the thinking process in those two systems, and also the tools that we use. So the medical philosophy versus the holistic philosophy and how they differ. When I say the holistic philosophy, it might sound kind of theoretical or, mystical or whatever, but honestly, it's just very foundational in our health. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. Like you said, we're brought up in a medical society. It's our default way of thinking. So it's not our fault that we're brought up that way, right? It's just the way things are. So I think sometimes one of the biggest obstacles in our health is when we think medically. Because when we think medically, and this is key, we don't really honestly trust the body to be able to do what it was created to do, okay? And that is to heal. I think this is the crux of the whole matter. Do we believe that our bodies have the ability to heal? And I totally believe that. I know that because I've seen it over and over and over. So in the holistic philosophy, we trust that if we give the body what it needs, just like you kind of said in your introduction, then it can heal. But in the medical philosophy, it's more the philosophy that we have to push the body or stop it from doing something or make it do something with drugs, because the basic tools of the holistic philosophy are foods. And I mean, that's the very basic. We have foods that we eat on our plates, and we have foods that we take as supplements. So that is, I mean, there's, of course, we think of things like breathing and drinking water and exercising and all the other things. But today we're talking about herbs. So that's what we're going to go with. And, but in the medical philosophy, we have drugs and surgery. Those are the tools that you can use. And those are always a force on the body, trying to get it either to start something or stop something. And usually it's based on symptomology, not really getting to the heart of the problem, but stopping symptoms. So, there's a lot of checks and balances in the body that it uses to keep us in homeostasis. That's the fancy word for balance, okay? Because that is what the body wants to do. It always wants to be in balance. So we are just amazing creatures that have a lot of ability to live a healthy life. And so I think if we kind of use the example of a car, it might help us to put it all together. Since we are brought up in a medical society, when we think of our car, we think of it in a holistic way, right? Because we depend on that car. We want it to get us where we're going when we want to go there, not detoured by the mechanic shop, right? So what do? We think holistically. Okay, does it have brake fluid? Does it have, the proper kind of gasoline? Does it have oil? All the things that internal environment needs to function. Like if that's not there, then our life's going to be disrupted. And so our bodies are the same. We have different parts that move in us and need to move. And we have all kinds of different processes going on, and it needs to be in the right environment. So that's why we need to provide the body that environment through what we eat and think and how we move and all that stuff. So think about it. If you live in an environment where it snows and they put salt on the road, what do people do? They make sure to get that salt off their car, right? They want the clean environment for their car so it will last. And that's kind of what we need to do too. We need to make sure we have the tools we need to adapt to our external environment. And we also need to make sure our internal environment is clean, lubricated, all the stuff, right? And so, even with the car with the snow and the salt, people put special protectants on, right? And so we have things that we can do that we can put special protectant in and around our bodies with herbs. So I'm excited to talk about some of that. And but it is really important to get that basic principle down, because that's where everything starts.
Right. I love that. I love that analogy about the car too, because it's so true. We don't want our car to go to the mechanic. I love it. That is such a great analogy.
Unless it's a planned trip, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Not when it's broken down on the side of the road. Yeah.
No.
I love that. Thank you. That is very clear and easy to understand. And I know that you must have some amazing stories of people that you have walked through this process with hand in hand. I know for me, I consider myself an amazing success story of yours. But I know you probably have others. Would you share just a few of those highlight stories? I'm sure we would love to hear other examples of how you've helped people.
Sure, I will do that. And yes, Lisa, you are definitely a success story. Yes, in so many ways. So anyway, kind of makes me teary. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to start with my example. And really quickly, I have used herbs for 50 years, believe it or not. It's kind of been my life, okay? And my life has totally been better for it. But it's interesting because, there's been a lot of things. I mean, life happens. Just because we take herbs doesn't mean, nothing's going to happen to us. And I've been able to solve a lot of issues over the years, And, but one thing that really was pervasive, and sometimes we don't even realize things until they're better, right? So I call it the monkey mind. Like in these days, I would probably be diagnosed as ADHD, but in the old days, I was just naughty. So anyway, but really it was something that affected me in so many ways in my life. And about 7 years ago, I discovered soul, and I started taking the herbs consistently. And I was like, wow, when I drink this or when I take this, my brain feels different, And so I was noticing differences like quickly. But about 3 months in, kind of the magic number, 3-4 months, right? is the most amazing thing happened is the war shut off in my brain. For the first time in my life, I had peace in my brain. And so you have no idea how life-changing that is and how many areas of your life it affects. So that is something I love to share because it's so impactful in my life. And then I'm thinking of a client who came to me when she was about 60, and she had suffered from digestive issues for a long time, probably as long as she could remember, decades at least. And so it was a gradual process. We were making progress with her. She was feeling better. And, but I knew that she needed probiotics. And like you said, Lisa, I only use high quality products, but none of the probiotics I tried would work with her. So when Soul came around, I'm like, well, I'm going to use this probiotic. And it was like magic for her. It was the only one that really got in there and did the job that needed to be done in a way that felt good to her, And so for her, not only the probiotic, the Probio IQ, but the Vertizymes and the Soul Complete have been fundamental. So I think she's been my client for about 15 years now, but it took months and perseverance, but she now can say that she lives a normal life. Like her gut is normal, her life is normal. It's not like tied to the bathroom or anything like that, So that is life-changing. Okay. And it's so awesome to see all these things happen. And then I have one more quick example. And I just love this. I think one of the best examples of the body healing is when someone cannot grow, carry, and deliver a baby, is able to do that. And so this client that I'm thinking of now is one that came to me after she had had several miscarriages. She was, I think she was 36 when she first came to me after the last miscarriage that she had, and she was defeated. I mean, you can imagine the heart-wrenching thing that is to be 36 and have had miscarriages and not even know if your body can hold a baby. So anyway, we worked with her, we got her body balanced because, it takes a lot of energy to grow a baby. It takes a lot of everything to grow a baby. So we worked on balancing her body, making sure all her glands were working well and all that stuff. So she could support a new life. And it took about 6 months and she conceived. And so she carried that baby to term and she had a beautiful, healthy baby girl. And the really cool thing about it is we're on our third baby as we speak. She is pregnant for the third time. And I got to take care of her for all three. It was so awesome. And, I have quite a few herb babies in the world, but there's really nothing like that. I've even been honored to be at the births of a few of them. So that was really cool. So
that's so exciting. And what a wonderful thing to be a part of for you. I'm thinking through my mind of all the different ones you listed. And it kind of sounds like it covers the spectrum of things, that most of us, sadly, in this day and age, the topics that you just talked about are not uncommon. It happens to a lot of people in this day and age. So that is wonderful. And if you are new, I got to thinking as she was talking, and she mentioned Soul a couple of times, and we haven't really talked about the company that she was working with when she introduced me to, and what she's referring to is a supplement company called Soul Naturals. And so that is kind of the subject that we're talking about today, because she's seen such powerful results in her own store, in her herbal shop, from this particular company's product. So we're talking about in relation to how the body heals and what Denise has found so powerful and effective for her practice, that for her clients. So on that note, what's kind of funny And I can remember sitting in your shop many moons ago, but even before Soul was in existence, and you letting me know that Costco was not the best place for me to be purchasing my supplements. And I thought, oh, well, whatever, it's cheaper. And so I know now that I have started to help people with their health as well, and I hear this commonly, you know, oh, well, I can get XYZ at Costco or the health food store or, you know, GNC or, you know, in Target. And I know I had felt the same way that, well, cheaper is probably better because it's going to save me money in the end. And then, yeah, I got really sick and none of that was even working, not even high-end, high-dollar supplements that I was getting through functional medicine. So what if you can help us understand why it's important to know about what products that you're ingesting?
Oh, I love this subject. And yeah, thanks for that explanation too, Lisa. Yeah, so some people on who haven't met me yet probably don't know that I owned an herb store for 21 years. And in that 21 years, by researching companies, going to suppliers, trade shows, you know, all the things, studying the industry, I learned a whole lot, okay? And so I wanted to share some things with you, and I made some notes, and I pretty much did some bullet points, which I could talk about forever, but I don't have forever. So I made bullet points for you, and I'm going to just go through them so I make sure not to miss any, okay? Things that you want to know when you are taking supplements is you want to know who is making the supplements, because that matters a lot. We're going to talk about that later. You want to make sure how the raw materials are sourced and handled. You want to make sure that they go through quality and control before, during, and after manufacturing. You want to make sure you're buying from a company that is run with integrity. This is huge for me. You want to make sure they're stored properly, like not in an Amazon warehouse, okay? I'm just saying. Am I allowed to say that? Yeah. We all know about the counterfeit products that you find there too. So I'm just saying, you might want to buy some things there, but you might not want to buy anything that goes in your environment or internal or external environment. So because you want to make sure, this is why this bullet point, you want to make sure that what is on the label is actually inside the container, okay? And you want to make sure that the formulas are being created by people with expertise and experience. And you want to make sure that they're making products that have been formulated based on the right philosophy, okay? And have been researched. I don't know where my other, anyway, they've been researched. So, and a lot of people are aware these days of, you know, the low quality supplements that you find at places like Walmart and Target and GNC and those kind of places. And the reason I say names is because, for a reason, because we'll get to in a minute, but even some of the health food stores, you have to be careful. And I'm going to say why later. But it's interesting because I love Natural Grocers. It's a store that we have here in Texas. And it's just, it makes you feel like a hippie when you go in there. It's really, I mean, it's really clean and everything. And they have amazing vegetables. And that's why I go there. I get my veggies there. But it takes me back to my 70s hippie days. So anyway, it's a great place. So I thought, I'm here for my vegetables. I'm going to go look at the aisle and the vitamin section, the supplements, and which is huge there. And I went up and down the aisles and my heart just sank, because since all the crazy world things are happening, so many people are interested in supplements. right? And they ask me, is this a good brand? Is that a good brand? You know, and personally, I just take the brands that I know are good and I don't like chance it. But I've been doing a lot more research and in our current environment. And what I have found has been a little disconcerting. And so I was walking down these aisles and I'm just thinking, I won't take because I know who owns that company. I know who owns that company. The majority of the stuff, honestly, I would not take because I know who owns the company. And so anyway, yeah. So unfortunately, there's the issue of fake and low quality supplements, and it's really pervasive in our culture today. So in 2015, I'm going to read this because I don't want to mess this up either. New York State Attorney General's office accused GNC, Walgreens, Target, and Walmart of selling fraudulent and potentially dangerous supplements. Some of the same companies that own those supplements are in the health food store. They might be under a different label, but it's the same parent company that owns them. So, so here are some disturbing facts from the report. GNC supplements contain ingredients that were not listed on the labels, which some of which were very dangerous allergens for certain people, like peanuts and soybean. And if it's contaminated with wheat, I have a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter who have celiacs, a genetic bowel issue, and they cannot have gluten. So if you think of somebody like that, I mean, that's an extreme case, but it affects all of us if it's not what it says. We don't want to take what it's unless it says it on the bottle. So a ginseng supplement from Walgreens turned out to be only rice and garlic, which, you know, garlic is healthy, but what if you were allergic to garlic and you took it thinking it was ginseng? I mean, these things are huge. 6 supplements from Target tested negative for the main ingredient they claimed. They actually contain beans, rice, peas, and carrots. So you get your salad in your, you might not know that, but that's what you're getting. So it's really a lot. And I've seen other than this, I mean, this has happened where people, you know, organizations or entities pull stuff off the shelf and test it. And rice powder is a common thing that they put in it instead of what it says. So it's incredibly frustrating because, you know, you want to be able to trust what you're putting in your body. And I always say, if I'm going to have something that's not good for me, I want it to taste really awesome, right? I want it to be worth it. I don't want to be taking something I think is good for me when it's not.
Right. Yeah, that's just crazy, you know, because we think, and I get this question a lot, is it FDA approved, you know, and we think these things are what they say they are because the FDA is approving them or they have some stamp or label on them or a big store's carrying them. And it's very disturbing that the industry has changed so much. And so many of the companies out there, I just got a text just today asking if I'd read the article on, it was vital proteins, the heavy metals that are in vital proteins. I haven't had a chance to read the article, but the gal was sending me a text and saying, what is up with this, you know? And so it's labels that we think we trust, you know? And do you have any other comments on those large companies and how it gets that way?
Yes, I do. Yes, and I have something to say about vital proteins too. Yeah. So there's a trend in a supplementation today, and big pharma and big business buy up all the supplement companies, and so there's really about 12 companies that own most of the supplements, unless you're buying from a company that you know that's smaller and well, not necessarily smaller, but you know how it's made, who's making it, that sort of thing. So, so these, I'm going to name the companies that own some of the companies. I think I have 6 of them here. So that own most of the supplements that are on the shelf in the big box store, in the Walmart, Targets, in the GNCs, in the health food store. Okay. So number 1, Pfizer. Number 2, Clorox. Number 3, Procter & Gamble. 4, Nestle, who is owned by Monsanto. You know, Monsanto that gave us Roundup and GMO foods. Wow, I love Monsanto. The Schwab Group, that's a good one. The Carlyle Group. These are just some examples. There's about 6 or 7 more that they're like 12 mega conglomerates that own most of the supplements today. And I'm going to go over some of the labels that you might have in your cupboard, but I'm sure you've seen in the health food store, even if you haven't bought them. And I hope you haven't bought them. And the interesting thing is that these are not just, you know, low quality, cheapo Walmart herbs and supplements. Some of these are professional line that I used to use. Okay. So the first one on the list is Vital Proteins. It's owned by Monsanto. I wonder why it has heavy metals in it, right? Douglas Labs, a professional line. Pure Encapsulations, a professional line. Garden of Life, who was started by Ruben, who had a passion, who found health and had a passion and wanted to share it with people. And let's see, who owns that one?
Nestle.
It is Nestle. Yeah, Nestle bought it, who's owned by Monsanto. Rainbow Light, Solgar, Nature Made, Solar Ray, Cal, Nature's Way. Emergency is owned by Fiber, the little, by Pfizer, the little packet of vitamin C. Enzymatic Therapy, New Chapter. Those are just a few of the ones that are owned by those conglomerates. Yeah, so, Vital Proteins is Monsanto, or is it Clorox? I think it's Monsanto. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's all bad. And somebody asked me, well, if people, like if they bought Garden of Life, couldn't Garden of Life still be good? I'm like, yeah, it could be. But I'm thinking that Monsanto doesn't really care about us, and they're not going to invest in, and lose a profit to make a better product. So anyway, I think that it's sad, but it's also gives me like such a sense of peace that we have available to us things that are pure, that are handled right, that are made with integrity. We have that available to us. We just need to put the effort into it to make sure that we're, not using the things that are owned by those companies.
Yeah, Rachel said,
Yes.
I'd rather know what I'm getting and trust where I'm getting it. Yes. And I was thinking, I think that's why communities like this are so powerful as well, because it can feel really overwhelming. You're like, oh my goodness. I remember when I was afraid to eat food because I started learning, I had so many digestive problems, and I was afraid of even food because of all the different things that are in our food supply. So I think being in a community like this, working with practitioners that you know and trust, that are willing to do the hard work, because frankly, most of us, we don't want to go research everything under the sun. We just want to live our know that we're doing the best thing. So I value you doing that. You have all these years and years and years of experience helping people with their health, and have done all the seminars and all the certifications and all of the hard work to bring us this information. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you, Lisa. I do want to add one thing, but I give people a tool so they just don't feel, if you're curious, I mean, like I said, I just stick with what I know is good and that makes my life easy. But because so many people these days have asked me things, and it's really kind of, well, you'll go down a rabbit hole, I'm just saying. But you can just Google who owns vital proteins, and you follow the trail. Sometimes you have to like go deep, but anyway, but you can find out that information, you know, and you might not want to know. You might want to. That's good
Right.
too.
Right. I know we want to have time for questions, so I just had a couple other just real quick things to ask you, and then if you guys have been thinking about questions you'd like to ask Denise, as soon as we're done chatting here, we're going to open up the call up for a little bit. So if you want to start chatting in your questions, we will get to them in order as soon as we can. But Denise, now I know that you love Soul Naturals. You've used it in your store a long time now. I know I love them. They have radically changed my life. Why is that kind of your first go-to nowadays, even in your practice, that you're still working with clients? Why is that the first go-to?
Well, I would say because all those things we need to know, I know about them, you know, and they fulfill that. The integrity, the quality. I've known Greg, who's the founder and CEO of the company for, I don't know, 27 years or so now. And I know he's a man of integrity. I know he surrounds himself with people with integrity. And I know the level of knowledge of him and the people that produce the herbs. So they check all the boxes that I want to know about, first of all, quality. Okay. But I guess really the bottom line, I know we need to go fast, but I could talk about it forever. The bottom line is they changed my life. They've changed my client's life. When my daughter-in-law my son had 2 kids 18 months apart, and they were going down the black hole of fatigue and imbalance. And then, you know, with 2 little kids that never wanted, one would sleep and one wouldn't, you know, they tag team. Yeah. I mean, it gave them back their life. So I think that's the bottom line. One thing I can say as a practitioner, I always got good results with my clients and they felt better. When I started using Soul, because of the adaptogens and because of the way they work on the body and the mind, my clients came back getting better, but they also said, I'm happy, you know, and to me, I was like, whoa, okay, there's something different here. So that's the short version.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Just someone saying that they're happy. And I know there's so many stories. I mean, that's how there's proof in the effectiveness, because depression, anxiety, all these things that the medical community has diagnosis for, you know, but people are seeing shifts and changes. And I see that with my clients as well. So I know that we're excited to be working with a 4-month program that you and another practitioner that has many years of experience as well have put together. And it's kind of interesting because you said in the beginning, because I said about 3 months in, you know, things started to shift and change for me. I think because of that medical thinking, we think I took one thing, I should feel all better. Here we've had years and years and years declining to the place that we got to, but we think I'm not seeing results like from day one, and that's just not the way it works. But I know this 4-month program is very systematic in how it walks people through this process, and I know that we've been using it and seeing amazing results with that. Why do you think this 4-month program that you put together is so effective?
Well, for several reasons that you just said. First of all, yes, it is systematic. It takes the confusion out of it. It uses adaptogens, of course, because it uses Soul products, and the whole subject of today was how the body heals. And so the body heals in the way that that program is designed. And I think that's the power of it. Not only the power of adaptogens, but pure potent adaptogens. And sometimes people just feel overwhelmed. So I don't know how many people on this call, most, if you've been into supplementation, you've tried to piecemeal things together and you read something here, you hear it on the internet, or you're following somebody on Instagram or whatever. And so you try these things, and sometimes, they might be some of the products we talked about, or it just didn't work, so you have this cupboard full of stuff that didn't get you where you want to go. And that's the thing. We want our car to take us where we want to go, right? And so I think ultimately I love this because it is actually more cost effective than doing that piecemeal thing, because the things don't end up in your cupboard and you went, oh, well, that didn't work either. Here, go be with the rest of them,
Yes, I had, and I'm sure lots of people on the call the same thing. Shelves of things that weren't really working. I don't even know. At one point in time, after I'd been on a soul program for a while, I finally just threw them all away. It's like, why are they just taking up residency? They did nothing. Sadly, very expensive and did nothing. Kim had a great question, and he was asking about the importance of consistency. And it seems slightly silly to think, oh, you mean we have to be consistent with something in order for it to work? But, it's funny. It's that thing of, do we do it for 10 days and expect a difference? So why would you say there's just such an importance in consistency?
Because just like the 4-month program, it is a process. The holistic mindset is a process, not an instantaneous gratification thing. And so it takes time. In homeopathy, they say like a month for every year you've had an issue to feel a different, or to, that the body heals in that way. And so we, with the 4-month program and with the soul herbs, we're looking for transformation. We're not looking to cover up symptoms. And that takes time because your body grows new tissues, just like my digestive client I talked about. She grew new cells that grew new organs that were healthier at 60. My client grew a baby, So it's like, it's because it takes time. That baby took 9 months to grow, It's like, it takes time to shift and make fundamental changes in the body where it's actually life transformational and not just covering up symptoms.
Yes, I agree. Thank you for that. Do we have any other questions? I've been watching the chat. I don't see any other questions.
That was a great question, Kim. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Thank you. And if you aren't familiar with the 4-month program, you can ask whoever invited you to join this Zoom call, this wellness series. They can get you any information that you need on that 4-month program. And I'm looking for raised hands. I see no raised hands. Did Denise do such an excellent job? You guys don't have any. Oh, wait, I see 2 raised hands. Let me see. Okay, Gretchen, you want to go ahead and unmute? Gretchen has a question.
I'd actually rather let Elizabeth ask the question because I was afraid she wasn't going to ask. So I was going to, but let her ask because it really is her question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gretchen. Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead and unmute.
So Gretchen's my mentor, and I have been using Soul for over 2.5 years, and it has been amazing for me. I'm a life coach, and things are growing very quickly. And I just wanted to know, for a new client, would you suggest using the 4-month program for a client who is bipolar?
I would suggest that it's always a great place to start, because We are, again, we don't treat diseases, and we're not trying to cover symptoms. We're trying to fundamentally change the body and the mind. And with the adaptogens, we can do that. So I would definitely, because I'll just briefly, like for people who aren't familiar with it, the first month we go about trying to just balance the organs and glands and how they're functioning. The second month we want to build up the gut, okay? And then the third month we do some gentle detoxing. And then in the fourth month, it's kind of like the celebratory month, because your body's gone through these 3 months, right, that we're talking about, of transforming how we absorb things. And then we just load it up with nutrition. Okay, so that's kind of the process. And you can see that that follows how the body heals. And so I would say, if we trust the body to do, excuse me, what it's going to do, if it has what it needs, then we can use the same fundamental things. Now, with something like that, you might want to also add in a targeted thing like adaptable or something. So you can always do that if you want to give a little extra support. And but the thing is here again, we want to think of it not medically, but we want to think of it holistically, that we are still just giving the body what it needs so it can do. We're not trying to force it to do anything. Okay, does that help?
Very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kathy had said that she would keep you here for hours. She has so many questions, but you did a really great job. And then one last question, because I want to honor all you guys' time. We try and keep it about 45 minutes, so we're a little over, but that part of that was my fault in the beginning, not getting the thing set up to begin with.
Well, I talk a lot too, so.
Yeah, Gina says, can clients stay on medication while doing the 4-month program? That's a great question, Gina.
Okay, so this is my answer to that. As a practitioner, I have had many, many clients on a laundry list of medications that, and especially with the adaptogens don't really force the body, so they're they're very safe, for long-term use. So I would say in general, I've seen that over and over and over again. And especially if somebody wants to get off a medication, because let's say they're on thyroid medication, you would never say, oh, go off your thyroid medication and take maca, we don't do that. But if you think of it holistically, like changing how the body functions, what we're doing is we're providing the nutrition that changes the functioning before we can take that thing away that is kind of holding the body where it needs to be for. I'm not saying we should never use pharmaceuticals, okay? I don't believe in that. I think I'm thankful that if I broke my leg, I would have a doctor to go to, I mean, there's things that they do that they're good at. And sometimes you need those to stabilize you until you can change how the body's functioning. And then naturally that can, and they always work with their doctor. Like we herbalists just don't do that. We don't mess with medications, but I've seen it over and over where people are able actually to get off of them eventually when the body.
Yeah, that's a great answer. She's just great explanation. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for being on the call today. I hope that you got tons out of this call and it added all kinds of value to your afternoon. And if you didn't catch it, the herbs that she works with are very safe for all ages. So little kids take them, nursing mommies, they're just so safe. So we just thank you so much for being on this call. Reach out to whoever invited you if you have additional questions. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to help you. And we do these wellness series once a month. Next month, I'm going to be interviewing Greg Halliday, the president of the company that Denise was talking about, Soul Naturals. So you guys won't want to miss that one. It's going to be later in February, and it's going to be awesome because he's an amazing person to be around and to spend time with. So you won't want to miss that one, and make sure you invite your friends and family as well. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lisa.